On a dimly lit street in North Carolina, whispers spread among 7 locals to catch the legendary Sookaloo Red-Eyed Monster. 6 American hunter squadrons nearly went mad. The beast wasn't just a campfire story. It had haunted these forests for generations. Its glowing crimson eyes were said to pierce through the darkness and control the minds of those unfortunate enough to see. After 2 grueling weeks of rest and mental recovery, the hunters regrouped. Determined but wary, they returned to the deep Carolina. They couldn't simply charge in. They knew stories of people who had entered unprepared, people who never came back. To stand a chance, they recruited an eccentric expert who had devoted 5 years to studying Bigfoot-like creatures. From 12 separate sightings he had investigated, 7 people had vanished without a trace. Every time, only 1 person ever claimed to have seen Sookaloo. Within months, that lone witness would disappear. When Quibo, the captain, learned this, a chill went down his spine, because Barker, one of his closest hunters, had recently seen the red-eyed monster himself. The forest around them felt alive, as if the trees themselves were keeping secrets. The hunters could sense they were stepping into a night. Barker believed the monster could be caught, not in body, but in spirit. To lure Sookaloo out, he argued, someone would need to isolate themselves and bait the creature. He volunteered for the task and asked for only 1 companion. Captain Quibo immediately opposed the plan. He couldn't risk splitting the team. These woods weren't ordinary. They twisted minds and warped reality. Arguments flared, echoing off the trees as frustration boiled. Trust began to fracture. At 10:30 p.m., 2 hunters, Harker and Barker, secretly broke rank. They crept through the misty wood, their boots sinking into damp soil, hearts thundering in their chests. Their destination, a small wooden cabin where Barker had once felt the monster's mind control. But the cabin wasn't the same. Inside, strange symbols scrawled across the walls spelled out a desperate message. Help! Hurry! Help! A chilling drawing of a mountain beast dragging a little girl stared back at them. Before they could make sense of it, a violent thud rattled the cabin. Something outside was trying to break in. The walls groaned under the force. Terrified, the 2 men bolted outside into a downpour, searching the darkness for their unseen attacker. After 30 tense minutes with no sign of the creature, they returned, drenched and shaken. The trap they'd built earlier had failed completely. Determined to survive, Willie and Bill took charge. Using raw timber and makeshift tools, they planned a shelter, a structure 2 meters tall, 5 or 6 meters wide, with a sloped roof, sturdy enough to shield them from the storm. Hours of hard work followed. Rain slicked their faces, but they worked with the precision of seasoned outdoorsmen. By afternoon, their rough cabin stood strong. These 2 brothers were experts in wilderness survival. Their handiwork inspired a flicker of hope among the weary hunters. The 4 hunters ventured back to where the original wooden house had stood, but when they arrived, the cabin was gone. In its place stretched a field of wild grass 2 meters high. The sight was eerie, unnatural. Harker knelt and plucked a stalk. It wasn't growing from the earth, it had been deliberately placed there. Something intelligent had hidden the cabin. The realization chilled the group to the bone. The sky grew darker, clouds rolling in like a warning. Captain Quibo raised a hand and ordered everyone to retreat to safety for the night. By the 3rd morning, the 6 hunters regrouped at their trap site. Quibo insisted on improving their snare. He designed a wooden box at the end of the bridge to protect Barker, ensuring that when Sookaloo approached, the creature would fall straight into the trap. Willie demonstrated the improved mechanism, its sharp spikes glinting under the paint. Everyone agreed the design might finally give them an edge. Reinforced and armed, the 4-man search party ventured back into the forest. Quibo entered the rebuilt wooden house first. Shadows danced across the walls as he scanned the room. Suddenly a hulking silhouette moved. A massive monster-like shape lingered in the doorway. Before Quibo could react, a man stumbled out of the trees. His clothes were ragged, his eyes wide with terror. Some suspected he was one of the 7 missing people. Without warning, the stranger lunged at Barker, grabbing his collar and laughing maniacally. His laughter echoed through the trees, unnatural and unending. The team restrained him, but he pointed frantically toward the house, shouting words they couldn't understand. When they turned back, he was gone, vanished into thin air. Only a row of strange glowing letters remained on the door. The hunters exchanged uneasy glances. Their resolve hardened. They would catch Sookaloo, no matter the cost. That night at the main camp, tension melted briefly. The hunters laughed at the sight of their luxurious base, a small but sturdy house with a working outdoor bathroom and even a makeshift toilet. They sat around a crackling fire, mapping out their next move. For safety, Quibo declared, no one was to wander off alone. Willie, ever the joker, pulled out a grotesque demon mask, hoping to ward off evil spirit. The mask's empty eyes gleamed in the firelight, a silent omen. At 2 a.m., panic swept through the camp. Barker was gone. Quibo's gut twisted. He suspected Sookaloo had invaded Barker's mind, but in truth, Barker had chosen to leave on his own. He believed the red-eyed monster could read their very thoughts. To outwit it, he had to face it alone. Through the drenched forest, Barker made his way back to the wooden cabin. The air was heavy, The trees unnervingly still. Something unseen stalked him. He could feel it. His instincts whispered of a Cherokee girl's spirit, trying to communicate a warning. Barker traced the strange carvings on the cabin wall, their edges glowing faintly under moonlight. As he looked up, a sudden rustle cut through the silence. Quibo's team arrived moments later, finding Barker's mask, his hunting knife, and his phone scattered on the ground. Realizing Barker had headed toward the trap, they sprinted through the forest. Meanwhile, Barker stood at the broken bridge, rainwater rushing beneath him. He could hear footsteps, heavy, deliberate, approaching. The trap creaked, then snapped violently. Barker braced himself, thinking it had only triggered. When Quibo and the others reached the site, the bridge was shattered. The trap was destroyed. For a moment, they feared Barker had been taken. Hours later, after scouring the hills, they found him alive, mud-streaked but unharmed. His voice trembled as he recounted the encounter the red-eyed monster had attacked. But in the final seconds, he had spoken aloud the mysterious words carved on the cabin. "Go away, devil." The air had shifted. The forest grew silent. Sookaloo had vanished. Against impossible odds, Barker had banished the creature, not with weapons, but with courage and the strange magic hidden in the forest whisper. The hunters stood together under the breaking dawn, knowing the legend would live on, but so would they.